Hi, I'm Rusty Komori, and this is Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. I was the head coach of the Punahou boys varsity tennis team for 22 years, and we were fortunate to win 22 consecutive state championships. My books, Beyond the Lines and Beyond the Game, are about leadership, character, and creating a superior culture of excellence, which is what this show is all about. My special guest today is a special ed teacher, a survivor of domestic violence, a model, an author of a children's book, and our 2018 Miss Hawaii USA. She is Julie Chu, and today we are going beyond the crown. Hey, Julie, welcome to Beyond the Lines.
Hi, Rusty. Thanks for having me. I know we've been trying to get on this show for so long, but with my schedule, it was so hard. So I'm glad that during spring break, I have this time to spend with you.
No, it's perfect. And Julie, I know you do so many things. I'm so excited to talk to you about everything. But tell me about what schools you went to and what sports did you play growing up?
Yeah, I went to public school. So I went to Kahala Elementary School, which is where I'm teaching at too, which is really funny that I ended up there in my teaching career. I went to Kaimuki Middle, Kalani High School, and UH Manoa.
Okay, now, Julie, what was the first job that you ever had that you got paid money for?
Well, I've worked a lot of different jobs in my lifetime, but my first one was working at a daycare center right in Kohala. It was honestly my favorite job. I was 15 years old, so making money at a young age, but I learned how to work hard. And I think it actually was one of the reasons that really brought me into why I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay, so let's talk about that now. So why did you become a special ed teacher? I know it takes a lot of patience, but it's so meaningful that you're helping the special ed kids. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so actually, one of my younger brothers, he has Asperger's and he struggled his whole life, like growing up, being a little bit different and having a learning disability. And honestly, he got bullied growing up. And for me, I realized that I wanted to be that support for all the other students that may have like the smallest learning disability and just know that it doesn't hold them back and that I can actually help them grow and know that they're special in their own way. And I know that it was really hard watching my brother and just to imagine other children going through that. I definitely wanted to be that teacher that was going to be there for them. I know that not all teachers are always there. You know, they're busy, they have so many students, but as a special ed teacher, I know that I can connect with them individually, one on one. And so I know that it really just like warms my heart to help someone, just like how I helped my brother.
No, that's so good to hear. And Julie, what are some of the toughest parts? What are some of the challenges you face, for yourself as a special ed teacher?
Well, being a teacher right now is really hard for anyone, no matter what grade level you're teaching. I know that I was teaching from home for almost the entire school year, which was very difficult, by the way. You know, I'm not used to having like all my resources behind me. I know I would hang up some decorations for holidays, but I know that that was really challenging also too. I'm also a very hands-on educator, and I know that many students learn that way too, with lots of visual aids and manipulatives in their hand. So I know that it was a little hard for that. And so I had to get really creative and find different ways to keep my students engaged and also challenge them in different ways and also make it accessible for them from home. So I know that it was really difficult, but that's the one amazing thing about teachers is that we can literally do anything. We can modify instruction, we can improvise whenever needed. So I know that's definitely a great skill to have.
Well, I give you big credit because I mean it's hard enough doing it in person. I mean, and then to be creative to really keep their attention through the internet. I mean, that's hard to do. And Julie, I want to ask you about your domestic violence experiences. Can you share with me some of the details of what happened in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of my first relationships, I was like 16 years old. I had nothing to compare it to. So I had no idea that I was in such a horrible, toxic relationship. And unfortunately, I was in this relationship for 3 years. It was really unhealthy in so many ways. I lost confidence in myself. I like broke relationships with my friends and my family. And it was something that I actually kept a secret for the longest time. And it wasn't until I started running for Miss Hawaii USA and I met Juliet Leiter, who is the founder of Women Speak Out Hawaii, where she shared her story as well as being a domestic violence survivor. And I was just so stunned to hear her story. I was like, oh my gosh, you're such a successful woman, so beautiful, so charming, charismatic. Like, how could this have happened to you? And she said, Julie, this happens to so many women and men. And so many people are so scared to speak out about it. And like, I'd love for you to come on the board. And I realized, I was like, this is something I'm so passionate about. So unfortunately, that experience happened for me, but I feel like what a blessing it was to find Women Speak Out Hawaii and work with them. So now my goal as a board member is to help educate young teens about dating violence, because I personally had no idea what I was going through. I had no idea that it was completely unhealthy and it was totally unacceptable. And I believe that the biggest thing is that we want to work on prevention. And I believe if you educate teens on what healthy relationships look like and what teens deserve and help them grow their self-confidence, that they can avoid these type of situations.
So did you experience physical abuse or mental abuse or both?
Oh gosh, everything, physical, mental, social abuse, I've had a couple times where that person, tried to throw me off a 22-second story building balcony because he was upset of the boys in my phone that were texting me about homework advice. I mean, like the silliest things you can think of. Definitely a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of put downs, name calling, a little bit of stalking if I didn't answer my phone quick enough. It was so horrible. And it's like to think that I was in that place at such a young age was like, oh my goodness, like who is she? Like, who was she? She's so different now. Like, I'm so thankful now because I'm in a very, very healthy and blessed relationship now.
Oh, for sure. And Julie, thanks for sharing about that. And I want to ask you about, your Miss Hawaii USA experience. I mean, I know that you've grown through, that pageant experience, and you weren't always the outgoing type to be speaking in front of everybody, right?
No, not at all. I was such a shy child growing up. My sister would make fun of me too because we'd be at the dinner table ordering in a restaurant, and I was just so scared to even order my meal. Like I would elbow my sister and be like, "Can you order for me?" And she's like, my sister, obviously being the loud, proud little girl she is, she'd be like, "What are you talking about? Just order your cheeseburger with fries." And and I just realized I was like, "Gosh, I was like, I don't want to be this kind of person anymore. I want to be like, I want to be like the people on TV. They're so proud and they speak so well and they're not afraid of anything." And I think that's what actually drove me into my first pageant. I attended one and I was like, oh my gosh, like these girls are like, they're teenagers like me, but they're so confident. They're on stage, they're answering questions, they're like helping out their community. I was like, this is exactly who I want to be. And I know it was like a huge step. And my mom was like, are you sure? But I realized I was like, this is who I want to be. And it opened so many doors. I won Miss Hawaii Teen USA after my second year of trying. And after that, I was like, I want to be Miss Hawaii USA. It was a 8-year journey, but on my fifth try, I finally won the crown. I know it was such an emotional moment for me. And I know the crowd too. I saw so many people I knew that have supported my journey over the years, and they were crying and cheering and just shouting. And it was just such an awesome experience. I'm really blessed to have been Miss Hawaii USA.
Well, Julie, I was there at that pageant, and I was like so happy, so proud, to be there to witness that, you won it, and you were fantastic in that pageant. And I want to know, what are your thoughts about how pageants really help these girls, in terms of growth for their own personal growth?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I remember you were there. You were like right in the front on the side. I remember you got a table really close. I was like, I remember seeing you when I won too. So that was special. But yeah, pageants overall, no matter what age you do it, whether you're, a young child, a teenager, or even a grown woman, like it's always great to try something new. And I know that with the pageants, especially with the Miss Hawaii USA system, we have so many different bonding opportunities so that you can work on yourself and grow with yourself and find out kind of what's your purpose. What do you want to do in life? Why are you entering this pageant? What do you want to accomplish? What are your goals? And then also working with other people. I think the biggest lesson I learned from pageantry is that you aren't competing against other girls. I know it's a pageant. People are like, what are you talking about? You got 20 other girls on the stage with you. No, the biggest thing that I learned is that you're competing with yourself. How are you challenging yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, in all of these different ways? And I realized that was the biggest lesson for me. And I know that any girl that enters a pageant walks away gaining so much more with themselves, feeling accomplished, whether they won or they didn't win. They know that they have done everything they possibly could to really present themselves in the best way on stage in front of these judges. And I know that so many girls who have not won feel amazing walking off that stage.
Yeah, and I heard that, there's a lot of girls, in the pageants that, behind the scenes, they're really supportive of each other, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's crazy because I know in movies they make it look like, oh gosh, cat fights and girls hating other girls, but it's not like that at all. And I'm so blessed to have had so many years competing, and everyone has been such an amazing supporter. Like even if like they didn't make the top five, they're like, oh my gosh, Julie, go, you know. And I'm still really, really good friends with all of those girls now, even at the national level at Miss USA as well. I mean, we're still really good friends. Like these are people that will be invited to my wedding one day, you know?
Now, Julie, you and your sister, Allison, I had Allison on my show a few weeks ago, and she's the reigning Miss Hawaii USA. How special is that you both are sisters who won the Miss Hawaii USA pageants?
Yeah, I mean, you know, our mom is extremely proud. She's like over the moon, excited and happy. I mean, we are the second set of sisters to win the Miss Hawaii USA title. It's really funny because the first set of sisters was Alicia, who's the director of the pageant, and her younger sister, Justine. So it hasn't happened in quite a while. And Allie also is the first one to win Miss Hawaii USA and Miss Hawaii America, which has never been done before in all of pageantry in Hawaii, which is really amazing. But I mean, it's so cool to like see 3 years later, my little sister competes and ends up winning the crown. And, you know, I went to Miss USA and now she's going to go to Miss USA. There's like a famous saying that you're more likely to have a son play in the Super Bowl than a daughter compete at Miss USA. And I'm like, wow, mom, you have two. Like, you really beat the odds in this one.
Yeah, no, that's so incredible. I mean, your mom did really good raising you guys. And Julie, I know that you have my books. I want to ask you what's something that's standing out to you in my books?
Yeah, so I've been reading it. I'm on spring break now, so I've been reading it more. I have more time because I'm not teaching children at this moment. But something that really stood out to me was the 3 C's in leadership. And I really like, there's a part that you talked about with choices, the choices that you make. And you shared a story about how you had dinner with your friend Jennifer and how she shared like a horrible experience that happened to her. And it was just something, a small moment of her day that really just ruined the rest of her day. And I can relate to Jennifer. I've had that happen. You know, something unfortunate happens and it just ruins your mood for the entire day, but it's because you make that choice to let something like that ruin your day. And I realized that's such an important lesson, like something I just needed a reminder of is that I have the choice to control how I want to feel, what I let affect me, what I don't let affect me. And I think that was just a really nice reminder for me because I realized that, you know, we only have so much time here on this earth, and what choices are you going to make to really make your day impactful? What's going to make you happy? What's going to benefit you? And if it's something that's so small that isn't worth your time, are you going to waste your time on it? I don't think so. So my choice is to be happy and let those positive experiences just come to me.
Oh, I like hearing those things that you brought up there. And yeah, because we don't want to waste time. We need to maximize every minute of every day that we have.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Julie, I know that you love dogs, dachshunds, to be specific. Now, how did you fall in love with the dachshunds?
Yes, so I'm a huge animal lover. I'm definitely a dog lover for sure. I like know people's dogs' names before I remember their owners' names. It's just like a thing that I do. But I fell in love with dachshunds when I first saw one in college. And I've never seen one before. I was like, oh my gosh, what kind of dog is that? It's got short legs, they're little floppy ears, they're so cute. And I just told myself, I set a goal for myself. I wrote on my bucket list, I said, one day I want to own a dachshund. Now you know I own three. I have three. They are my fur babies. I call them my children. I love them with all my heart. And, you know, they actually inspired me to write and illustrate my first children's book, which features them in my book.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about that. I mean, I'm so impressed that you're an author of the children's book, but why did you write the book?
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about this too. You were like, yeah, I'm working on a book. I said, oh my gosh, so am I. We had this conversation. I was like, it was so awesome because I know we were both pursuing these awesome goals of ours. But I'm really excited because I actually wrote my book. It's about self-love. So it's promoting about loving yourself, regardless of who you are. In my book featuring Curly the Dachshund. So dachshunds have long, regular tails, but this dachshund actually has a curly tail. So he was born a little different. In the book, he gets teased by my fur babies. I guess they're the bullies in the book. But then he learns to love himself for who he is. And he doesn't realize that his tail actually comes in handy during his book too. So everyone ends up loving him, and he just discovers that he's special the way he is, and he shouldn't listen to what other people say.
No, I'm so happy, that you wrote the book, and the message behind it, I feel is very powerful, very impactful, and I hope every little kid goes out there and gets your book. Not just in Hawaii, but throughout the country and the world, right, Julie?
Yeah, I'm actually really proud that during my reign as Miss Hawaii USA, I traveled all over the country. I even went to Australia. So I was able to promote and sell my book in different countries and different states as well. So not just Hawaii, but nationally and internationally as well. So it was really exciting. And like, I know you wrote your second book. Now you're inspiring me to write another children's book.
Go for it, Julie. Go for it. Now, Julie, I want to ask you about your modeling career. I mean, you are extremely photogenic, and you have all these different looks, in these pictures. I mean, it's amazing. What got you first interested into modeling?
Honestly, with pageantry, I feel like pageantry and modeling kind of went hand in hand. So I had to learn how to be presentable on stage, which kind of came in hand with being presentable in front of a camera. When they say a beautiful face could be in front of a camera, but if there's no like soul behind it, you really don't see who that person is. And I know that when I first started modeling, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even own a pair of heels when I first started modeling. It was so embarrassing. But I mean, now look who I am today. I've definitely have done a lot of different work with modeling and acting. And I'm really proud to say that I actually walked in New York Fashion Week with Mauna Hawaii, which is a local Hawaii company here, which was such an honor and privilege. But I know that with modeling, it brought so many different opportunities to my life. And I feel that I met so many great people. And then I really learned more about myself. I learned that I know with modeling, some people think, oh, you got to be the thinnest one, the tallest one. Oh, maybe blonde eye, blonde hair, blue eyes. But I soon realized that with modeling, especially now, it's become more acceptable that any type of body is acceptable. And I know that I'm not the super skinniest one, like the twiggy ones. And I know I'm not 6 feet tall, but I realize that I'm special for the way I am, the size I am. And I know that I market myself that way. And so I know that's a great thing I've learned from modeling.
Yeah, you just got to, you have one body and you got to be yourself and love yourself. And Julie, in modeling, everyone sees the glamorous parts of it, but what are the toughest parts of modeling, behind the scenes?
Yeah, so everyone sees, oh wow, photo shoots and magazine covers and all that great stuff. People don't realize all the time that goes into it. There's some days you don't get to eat just because you're so busy. Like some people think, oh, you're not eating because you got to be, look good for the shoot. It's like, actually, no, it just takes a lot of time and preparation to go into that. I know for some of the shoots that I have done, I had to be creative and create my own ideas. And some people think, oh, that might be like the photographer's vision. For myself, I always create my own vision for my shoots. And so I know that behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that go on. I know with runway shows, people don't realize all the walking that you do. Your feet get really sore. You get a lot of blisters. Like you soon become an expert on what kind of shoes you want to pack for all these different events too.
I like hearing those behind the scenes stuff there, Julie. And, I have to congratulate you and your fiance, Ben Feynman. Ben is a friend of mine, great guy. I mean, he totally surprised you, right? Because I watched the video of his proposal when he posted it on Facebook. What was your thoughts about that, going through that experience?
Yeah, that was definitely like one of the most amazing things that happened in 2020. It happened right after Christmas. I had absolutely no idea, and Ben is so amazing. He put together a pretend dachshund meetup. And trust me, these happen. I've been invited. I've just been so busy. I'm like, oh, I'll get the next one. So I told myself during Christmas break, I was like, I really want to go to this dachshund meetup party. I want to bring my dogs and go ahead and go and see what this is all about. I know people do it all the time. Little did I know that Ben actually reached out to the president of the Dachshund committee. Trust me, there's a president. There's actually, And he actually coordinated and created his own event. And so we had all these different people that came, and I follow them on social media. I know who their dogs are and all their names are. So I really thought this was a real meetup. Little did I know, Ben planned the entire thing. It was totally pouring raining. I think it threw me off. I'm really good at like catching on to surprises, but I had absolutely no idea. But it was so special because it was my proposal with Dachshunds and my fur babies, and my family was there after he asked me, and it was just such a wonderful way to end 2020. And just, I don't know, I've never imagined what my proposal would have looked like in my lifetime, but knowing that it had Dachshunds involved, I think it was the best I could have ever asked for.
Well, that was so impressive. I mean, what Ben did, I mean, I'm impressed big time with how he did it, and to pull it off in the rain and the adjustments that had to be made. I mean, he was telling me all about it. Anyway, Julie, I want to ask you about the effects that social media has on, some kids nowadays. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's crazy because social media is such a huge platform that everyone uses. It's really weird to hear, like, if I have some students, they're like, "Oh, I have a social media account." I'm like, "What? Really?" Like, I barely had a phone at your age. And it's just crazy to think that they do that. But I do hear their talks where they say, "Oh, I don't want to post that, that's kind of negative. I only want to post happy things." And it's become kind of a norm where people only post positive things on social media. And I kind of want to teach children, or just teach people in general, that it's okay to post other things. Like if you have a really bad day, perhaps it's okay to show that you're not okay. We are human beings. We have great days. We have some tough days. I can admit I have some tough days here and there, and I'm okay to post that. I know the biggest thing that I use with my social media platform is to promote the different organizations I work with. So I do work with Special Olympics Hawaii, and I work with Women Speak Out Hawaii as well. And so mine, especially when I post about Women Speak Out Hawaii, is that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay if you're dealing with something. It's okay if you're in an abusive relationship, because I want you to seek out that help from friends and family and loved ones.
I completely agree with that. And, it's amazing what Juliet Leiter is doing. And I had her on the show a few years ago. And, she's just really helping so many people that are, domestic violence victims turn into survivors, just like
Mhm.
yourself. And I'm glad that you came out to really, share your story. And Julie, I want to ask you about, in your short life so far, what's a valuable lesson you've learned?
Gosh, I've learned so many different lessons. I think the biggest one, something that I practice every day is gratitude. I think sometimes we forget to think about the things that we're grateful for. So, something I practice every day, and I try to teach this to my students too, even though they're young, I always tell them, think about three things that you're grateful for. It could be the smallest things, like your bed, your fridge, like your dogs, your mom, anything like that. And just by practicing gratitude every day, I feel that it just sets your day in such a great mood. You're already starting off thinking of all the great things you have in your life. And so that only greater things can come after that. And I know that sometimes we forget, sometimes we think about the horrible things going on, the stress on our plate, but sometimes it's great to flip that around and look into a positive outlook and think of all the things that you're grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times what I see is people, they get caught up in such the manini, the small things in life, and they let that really affect them and bother them, and they forget to look at the big picture, right?
Mhm. For sure. I absolutely agree. And it's hard because we do let sometimes the smallest thing upset us, but I think you have to practice that mind power and just being more mindful of what's making you upset and what can you do? What should you focus on? Is it worth your time letting it ruin your day? Because if it isn't, absolutely just let it go and move on.
Yeah, that's the impact of the Jennifer story you mentioned earlier from my book. And Julie, I want to ask you, what's the best advice you ever received so far in your life?
Gosh, I think the biggest thing was learning to love yourself before you love others. And I think that's a huge thing, regardless of it's a personal choice or maybe even a career choice. If you don't love who you are, it will reflect on your life. It will reflect on the people that you associate yourself with. It will reflect on your work and your career. And I know for me, like that was a hard lesson that I had to learn growing up. I think I wasn't taught the importance of self love. And because of that, I wasn't confident. I got myself into some horrible situations, especially with my domestic violence situation. I think even with my work, I wasn't able to find my passion before I learned to love myself. And when I did start learning that, I realized, wow, I really want to help other people. And because I love who I have become, I think it reflects in all the work that I do out in our community now.
Yeah, you're totally making an impact in our community for sure, and I love that. And Julie, I want to know what is a future goal of yours?
Well, so I guess I'm a lover for dachshunds and diamonds, and so I actually just started working part-time with Robert Palma Designs as a jewelry consultant. So, I mean, after helping Ben design my ring, I wanted to help other people as well. So I realized I had a passion for diamonds. So one of my goals now is to go ahead and start working for them, and I currently am doing that already, but I'm already like working on different diamonds for some people that I know from pageantry, from like work. So I'm really excited because I love dachshunds and diamonds. Those are my two favorite things. And so I'm really excited to be starting this like little small journey.
No, and Robert Palma, I mean, he's such a great, incredible guy, and he is the master of diamonds, right?
Oh yeah, he's been in business for over 40 years. He's so great though. Like he really like puts love into every single piece that he makes. He custom makes all his jewelry. So it's not just like some kind of standard mold that you can order online. Like everything he listens to, he asks what your love is like, what your relationship is like, and then he helps you design your own piece, which I personally love. And I know that Ben told me when he was ordering my ring from him, he felt like that Robert was putting so much love into it. And that's why I feel like, honestly, I love my ring so much. But I believe that it was so custom made because a lot of love went into it.
Oh, yeah, that's great to hear. And Julie, before we wrap up, I want to ask you one more thing. What gives you fulfillment?
Gosh, that's a great question. I think for me, I think my biggest thing, and I know that maybe it's because I'm a teacher, what gives me fulfillment is helping other people succeed, whether it's a child, whether it's a domestic violence survivor. I know that when I help other people, I know it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like my purpose on earth is helping and is being fulfilled as well, because I know that I want to go out in this world knowing that I helped as many people as I could.
No, that's what I'm trying to do too. So you and I both together, Julie, we're trying to improve the world, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Julie, I want to thank you for really taking time to share your insights and to join me on the show today. I mean, it was so good having you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad I was able to finally join. It was such an honor and a privilege.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank
And
you. Bye.
thank you for watching Beyond the Lines on ThinkTech Hawaii. For more information, please visit rustykomori.com, and my books are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And get Julie's book too. I hope that Julie and I will inspire you to create your own superior culture of excellence and to find your greatness and help others find theirs. Aloha.